Now, I want to switch gears slightly. Call it President Obama's inconvenient truth about oil. This is something I've talked about for weeks. There's a new study out this week by the U.S. Geological Survey, and it found that the world's undiscovered oil supply is 565 billion barrels. But a recent Energy Information report put the supply here in America at about 198 billion. That's roughly 26% of the world's oil supply. Not 20, 26%. So then, why is the president singing his old tune? Take a listen.
America uses 20% of the world's oil, but we only have 2% of the world's known oil reserves. So we use 20%. We have 2%. Who's a math major here? All right. If I'm not mistaken, that leaves us about 18% short.
Now, we welcome Alaska Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski. Ms. Murkowski, thank you. So let me get this right.
Thank you.
It turns out we're not running out of oil. That new official government report suggests we may have 26% of the world's oil reserves. Can you tell us about it?
We do have abundant reserves here in this country. The president has been saying for months, for years now, that we've got 2% of the world's supply, and we're running out. There's a difference between what is a proven reserve, in other words, what has actually been drilled for and has been produced, versus technically recoverable. And when technology advances, or when it becomes economically beneficial to produce, when, for instance, prices are above $100 a barrel, it's more. It then becomes what they call technically recoverable.
Right.
But it's not yet been booked, because we haven't drilled for it yet.
But as I understand it, it's really the difference between the past and the future.
Exactly.
And the other thing I want to make point is, according to these estimates from the Energy Information Administration and the Geological Survey, this doesn't even include the massive oil shale. This is just the traditional, conventional oil fossil fuel. And so the president's 2% number is completely out of date by any measure.
And so, there needs to be a little bit of truth in advertising here. When we're talking about our resource inventory in this country, we should not sell ourselves short. Technology has changed. The ability to access it clearly has changed as the price of oil has increased. And again, knowing how we can access our shale reserves, this is a whole new world out there in terms of energy opportunity for us.
The Keystone Pipeline is coming back to the Senate for another vote as part of the highway bill. Last time it got 56 votes. It needs 60. What's your estimate? Will there be enough Democrats to push it to 60 or more this time around?
There should be not only more than enough to get us to 60. We should, as a nation, we should, as a Congress, make a commitment to our North American energy sources, and what comes from, or what could come from, the Keystone project is absolutely part of that mix. The fact that we have stalled out on this, the fact that the administration has been so resistant on this, is just, in my opinion, flat out wrong.
Thank you, Senator Murkowski.
Thanks,
we appreciate it very, very much.
Good to be with you.
Let me just make this clear. The president's math is completely wrong based on his own government reports. We don't have 2% of world oil reserves. We have at least 26% of world oil reserves. And if you include the oil shale, we might have as much as 50% of world oil reserves. That's the math. Anyway, up next on Kudlow, Jim Cramer's New Innovators. He's got a great way to think about companies. That's from my pal Jimmy. He's going to have 4 new companies when we come right back.